I opened my bank app expecting to pay my car insurance, but instead I found my entire $20,000 savings wiped clean. And the thief, not a hacker, not a stranger, it was my own mother. Last week, I logged into my banking app to cover my car insurance payment, only to discover my savings account was completely empty. Not a few bucks missing, not even a couple thousand. Every single cent was gone. My heart sank. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Maybe I'd checked the wrong account. Maybe I'd moved the money by mistake. But as I scrolled through the transaction history, there it was, one massive withdrawal dated just 2 days prior. And the name attached to it, my mother. My stomach churned. I wasn't even angry at first, just utterly baffled. Why would she do this? I don't live with her, and we've always had what I thought was a solid relationship. Or so I believed. She knew I'd been scrimping and saving for years to buy my first home. I'd finally reached my $20,000 goal a few months ago, and seeing that zero balance felt like a slap in the face. I called her right away, my voice shaking but not raised. "Did you take money from my account? What's happening?" Her response was a heavy sigh, like I was the one bothering her. "I needed it for your brother," she said, as if that explained everything. For context, my younger brother, let's call him Jake, is the family favorite. He's 27 but lives like he's still a teenager. He's never held a job for long, and every time he messes up, my mom swoops in to save him. Meanwhile, I've been working since I was 16, paying my own way and trying to secure my future. So learning that my hard-earned money went to him made my blood boil. I asked what she meant by helping Jake, and she got cagey. Apparently, he'd racked up credit card debt and creditors were hounding him. She couldn't bear to see him stressed. "He's your brother," she said, like that justified everything. "Family supports family." I was stunned. I told her that money wasn't yours to take, I worked for it. Her reply, "You're young. You'll save it again. Besides, I didn't use it for myself." That's when it hit me. She genuinely saw nothing wrong with what she'd done. To her, my savings were just a piggy bank she could raid whenever she pleased. She even tried to guilt me, saying I was selfish for caring about money when my brother was in trouble. I couldn't get through to her, so I hung up, staring at my empty account, a mix of rage, hurt, and disbelief washing over me. Who does that? Who takes $20,000 from their own child without asking? The next day, I went to her house, hoping an in-person talk might make her see how deeply she'd hurt me. But instead of remorse, she doubled down. She told me I should be proud to help Jake, that I was too focused on material things for being so upset. She even said, "You're lucky I didn't spend it on myself. At least it went to something important." I snapped. I told her she had no right to touch my money and that I wanted it back. She just laughed and said, "Good luck getting it from Jake. He's unemployed right now." I realized I was getting nowhere, so I left. But on the drive home, a chilling thought hit me. If she took my money without a second thought, what else had she done? I decided to dig deeper. I checked my credit report and every account I had just to be safe. That's when I found it. A loan I hadn't taken out listed in my name. It wasn't huge, but it was in default, and my credit score had tanked because of it. When I confronted her, she admitted she'd co-signed it for Jake, using my name because the bank wouldn't approve it otherwise. Then she had the nerve to ask if I could pay it off for her. That's when I realized this wasn't a one-off. She'd been using me as her financial safety net for years, and I'd been clueless. My savings, my credit, everything I'd built was just collateral damage in her mission to shield Jake from his own mistakes. And the worst part? She didn't think she'd done anything wrong. When I mentioned legal action, she scoffed and said, "Go ahead, see how far that gets you." Update. I thought things couldn't get worse after learning my mom drained my savings for Jake's debt, but I was dead wrong. After our last confrontation, where she laughed off my demand for repayment, I felt like I was losing my grip. It wasn't just the money, it was her complete lack of remorse. How could my own mother betray me like this and not care? I couldn't let it slide. Something told me there was more to uncover, so I started investigating. I froze my credit to prevent further damage and combed through every account I had. That's when I found another bombshell, a $5,000 loan in my name that I never took out. It was opened last year and had been in default for months. I was the one on the hook for it. I called the loan company, and after hours of wrangling, they confirmed my mom had co-signed it for Jake, forging my signature without my knowledge. My name. She didn't even ask. I called her, hoping there was some explanation, some shred of justification. Her response, "Oh, that. I was going to tell you, but you were so busy with work I didn't want to bother you." Bother me. My credit was trashed, and she thought she was doing me a favor by keeping me in the dark. I demanded to know what the loan was for, and she fed me the same line. It was for Jake's debts, but her voice sounded off, evasive. She rambled about family loyalty and how I'd understand when I'm a parent. I wasn't buying it. She was hiding something. I called Jake to get his side, and shockingly, he knew nothing about the loan. He swore he hadn't received any money and seemed genuinely confused. If the loan wasn't for him, then where did it go? That's when I remembered a passing comment from my aunt at a family event. She'd mentioned my mom's bad luck at the casino. I hadn't thought much of it then. My mom's always liked to gamble, but I assumed it was harmless. Now I wasn't so sure. I scoured her social media, where she posts everything, and found photos of her at the casino, some from around the time the loan was taken out. My heart raced. Could she have used my money and the loan to fuel a gambling habit? I confronted her point blank. "Did you use my money for gambling?" She denied it at first, but when I showed her the photos and timeline, she cracked. She admitted she'd been hitting the casino nearly every weekend for a year, racking up debts she couldn't pay. She didn't just take my savings and the loan. She'd maxed out her own cards and borrowed from other relatives, all while lying about it. I was floored. This wasn't about Jake. It was about her addiction. And the worst part? She wasn't sorry. She cried, but it was the kind of tears you shed when you're caught, not when you regret your actions. When I mentioned legal action, she turned it around on me, saying, "If you weren't so greedy with your money, I wouldn't have had to take it." She stole $20,000, tanked my credit, and somehow made it my fault. I left her house that day feeling more betrayed than ever. She's my mom. She's supposed to protect me, not treat me like her personal cash machine. Final update. After learning my mom used my savings and a fraudulent loan to feed her gambling addiction, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. I was wrong. The aftermath has been a chaotic, heart-wrenching mess. First, I froze my credit to block any more surprises. I spent hours on the phone with banks, credit agencies, and a lawyer trying to salvage my financial future. Every time I had to recount the story to a stranger, I felt foolish. The lawyer gave me two choices: report her to the police or try to resolve it privately. Both felt awful. She's my mom. Pressing charges could destroy our family. But letting it slide meant eating the debt and sending the message that her actions were okay. They weren't. I decided to give her one last chance to make things right. I went to her house and laid everything out. The gambling, the loan, the money she'd borrowed from others. I told her I was done being her fallback, and that if she didn't repay me and stop using me, I'd file a police report. Her reaction, she acted like I was the bad guy. She sobbed, saying, "I can't believe you'd do this to your own mother, and you're going to ruin me." She didn't deny her actions, she just tried to guilt me into backing off. It was like arguing with a wall that kept calling me selfish. The look in her eyes wasn't remorse, it was anger, like I'd betrayed her by standing up for myself. That's when I knew she'd never change or take responsibility. The next day, I filed the police report. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Even as I explained everything to the officer, I doubted myself. Was I overreacting? But then I remembered the $20,000, the loan, and her refusal to make it right. Things spiraled quickly. When my mom found out, she lost it, calling me every name imaginable and telling the family I was trying to jail her over a misunderstanding. She painted herself as the victim and me as the heartless daughter. Some relatives bought her story, flooding my phone with calls to drop the charges. "She's your mom," they said. "You only get one mother." As if I didn't know. Jake, who she claimed she was helping, took her side, calling me petty and urging me to let it go for the family's sake. Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one with a ruined credit score and no savings. But not everyone sided with her. Some relatives reached out privately, sharing their own stories of her borrowing money and never repaying it. Apparently, this was her pattern, but no one had ever confronted her. Knowing that made me feel less alone, but it didn't ease the pain. I went no contact with her, which felt both freeing and devastating. For the first time, I was free of her chaos, but I kept wondering, was our relationship ever real, or was I just a tool to her? The legal process is ongoing, and I'm working with my lawyer to clear the loan and rebuild my credit. It's a slow process, but it's progress. I don't expect to see my savings again, but I'm trying to let go of the anger and focus on my future. The last time we spoke, my mom said I'd regret this, that one day I'd need her and she wouldn't be there. Maybe she's right, but right now I think I'm better off without her. I spent years trying to be the perfect daughter, but I see now that no amount of effort or loyalty will satisfy someone who views you as a means to an end. If you're ever in a situation like this, my advice is simple. Protect yourself. Sometimes the people meant to love you most are the ones who hurt you deepest. If you found this story compelling, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to catch more stories like this. Until next time.